Hello, crossroads, witches and other interesting magical beings. Always going to start with what I say. Ooh, I got a good one today. Actually, this list of magical self-care is based on what I've been doing, my practice as far as ways that I can work on my self-care, work on my magic, because witchcraft and self-care are connected. They're both around the practice of tuning into one's body, one's soul, one's intuition. So why not put them together type thing? And I shot a video last week where I was discussing, that the move here has totally discombobulated me, and that I'm going through that year in a day. We've got a lot on our plate and the mundane world, and trying to balance my spiritual magical side and how I can do that. And so, of course, y'all, I got notes. Like I said, this is what I've been doing to help me. And I was talking to some other witches, and in the process, was writing down things that I've been doing, and that's the basis of the notes. If you want the notes, go to houseofwitchcraft.com. I did turn it into a complete article to share. It has helped me so much, is all I gotta say. The things I've been doing, I wish I'd been doing them sooner. I wish I had really gotten on myself and been like, all right, I can feel the fact I'm slightly disconnected. I can feel the fact that I'm just like, ugh, and getting back to the space where I can sit in myself and just listen to the birds sing. So the first thing is what I just said was, you've got to commit to yourself. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to make a magical care self routine. I am going to start looking at things a little different. If I want things to change, I've got to do something different. We all know what the insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So change it up so you get different results. And that's what I did. And the very first thing I started doing was actually focusing every week on what the moon phase was, okay? And this was like once a week. Most time for me, it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, because it would be like a quiet part of the evening. I'd get on my phone, do the appy thing, and it would tell me the phase of the moon, and I would go sit outside for a couple of minutes and really just take that in, all right? And that sounds so simple. But over the course of several weeks, I didn't need the app. I'd just be like, ooh, this week, let's see, last week it was a full moon. It's been a week, so it's going to be a waning moon, and really tuning into it. And it gave me that extra little bit of zhuzh. I don't even know what the word is that I felt, but more in tune with myself, a little calmer with myself, more connected to myself. By connecting to the moon, I was able to connect to myself, And this isn't about going out and doing a full-blown ritual. You didn't hear me say that. You heard me say that I sat in it for a couple of minutes. That's all I did, And I'm privileged enough to have a nice porch outside, so I went outside. I sat on my porch. I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 7 minutes, and that's all I did. And it really helped. And it wasn't about doing it once, doing it twice, doing it 3 times. It is really, like I said, this was over the course, probably about 6, 7 weeks was when all of a sudden, like I said, I didn't need the app anymore. I knew it, what phase, I could feel the energies, and it really, really helped me. For me, I have my list of things that I wrote my phases down. I wrote them in my book. Full moons are a time of giving thanks and gratitude and celebrating. Waning moons are releasing and banishing. and thinking about the spiritual growth that I want to have, or that I am having right now in that moment. New moon was about a reflection of the past moon and looking forward to the next and thinking, this is what I'm going to do. It's just setting those intentions and the goals. And I was like, I'm just going to leave the last moon behind. I ain't worried about what happened yesterday. I got the new moon. I'm going forward, honey. And just having that energy helped me with all the things that I have going on around me. And of course, a waxing moon was taking inspired actions. And that's for me, and it was like my intuitives. How am I feeling about this? And really tuning into that, and holding or doing these moon phases every week, just checking what phase of the moon really helped me. All right. The other thing I started doing was, as I stood up, I have some beautiful oracle cards that I've got over the years, and I set 2 different decks up on a shelf, like right there. Just set 2 different decks of oracle cards up on your shelf, or tarot cards, or what guidance, angel cards, whatever form of divination that you want. And I would do the daily draw. It wasn't about having a full-blown altar and all that. I just sat the deck over on the shelf over at our place, because y'all know this is the apartment. It's the other end of my barn. I actually live on the other side over there. But I sat it on the shelf, and I would pull, each day I'd decide which deck I was going to pull from, and I pulled a card. And again, I didn't feel it right away. That's my biggest thing I want to talk about when we talk about magical self-care. It's not doing it once or twice. It's doing it 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. And then you start really feeling it. You gotta stick to it. That's the biggest thing that I can tell the difference. Where those first couple of weeks, I was sort of like, why am I doing this? I was still out there. It was blah, but I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna get myself in tune. I'm gonna keep my magic right. I'm gonna make sure that, I got my connections to divinity, to the goddess, to my ancestors, to the genie loci, that strange spirit that's in the back corner of my property. Done made me trip twice. All right. So I got a little conversation we're having with that going on. The other thing, love, love, love. I know many of you witchy folk out there love your crystals. All right. I ended up with making a really cool crystal grid because I already had the crystals, so I would never encourage you to go buy. I'm going to encourage you to use what you have, pretty stones. But I made this pretty little crystal grid that I sat up over in the center of my altar, and I played with it, so to speak. Now, people are like, well, what were the crystals you were using, Miss Taryn? And I'll tell you, I had a smoky quartz, a rose quartz, a tiger's eye, hematite, selenite, amethyst, and black tourmaline. And you may want to go back and slow down what I said there. Use your own blends too now, but this was some stones I had together that I liked. And I also knew that these different stones were really good for self-care, for helping alleviate depression, for promoting mental well-being. All right, and I like those colors. That's really, but I started putting them out into my energy grid and, really getting into working with them. And this was something, I'm not going to say I did every day, because I don't even do it. I'd say probably about every 2-3 days is when I'm over there playing with my stones. And now, because I've been doing it for several weeks, like I said, I'm going on almost 2 months now, I do it and don't even think about it. I just go over there and start fiddling with it. I'll be like, oh, that feels good. And I hold them in my hands. Sometimes I breathe on them. Sometimes I talk to them, Sometimes I just fiddle with them a little bit on the altar. It just depends. This isn't about doing big things when it comes to magical self-care. It's all these little things that add up to the big thing of feeling good about yourself, okay? And the other thing, that a friend of mine turned me on to is the jade face roller. If y'all ain't tried it, you gotta try it. That is the best thing ever. I really like my face roller. I put on a little moisturizer in the evening and I sit there and do the roly, and it feels so good. And I sat my facial moisturizer and my jade roller. They also have a rose quartz that you can get. You can get all sorts of these facial rollers. They're so relaxing and they feel so good, And they're also, what else I looked up? Okay. Oh, it can also reduce puffiness, increase circulation, and promote lymphatic drainage, giving your skin a healthy and radiant glow. It felt good. I'm going to go with that one. It felt good. And those little moments of it felt good were what I needed. And so, again, keep it the simple things. The simple things make the biggest changes, witches. All right. And I also started halfway paying attention to astrology. I'm not going to say this particular one was where I was like up on top of my, where every day I'm pulling a divination cards. Every couple of days I'm playing with crystals. Once a week I'm tuning into the moon phases. I would say probably, once a week I was sort of looking at my astrology, reading a little bit more about astrology so I could learn about it. It's not a strong suit for me. I always tell people that's not my wheelhouse of knowledge, all right? But taking the time to learn a little bit more about it. They always say when we're learning something, it's really helping our brains, it's really helping our whole energy, it's helping our sense of well-being, and it did for me as well. I have a great little astrology book, and I would just open it up. And again, I kept my astrology book out where it was easy for me to grab, where it was also in my sight of line, And also, I started the, kitchen magic. Ooh. I started being more mindful when I was cooking or helping my husband actually cooks. I'm not going to lie. I can't be sitting here. My husband does the cooking, but I sprinkled garnishes, and I've been growing chives, I'm growing thyme, I'm growing basil, and taking the moment to go out there, tend to my plants. And then here in the past several weeks, I've been able to harvest a couple of little different clippings and doing the little garnishing and being like, we're going to be happy. And keeping my house, my space, organized, because I know I feel blah and blah, blah. And knowing how important it is not to let my corners get cluttered. And so I've been really good about that. And it has really helped. It's sort of amazing how growing a little bit of basil changes everything for the evening. My husband and I were sort of having a little bit of tense energy because we're dealing with contractors, whatnot. I got a couple of leaves of basil and was chopping them up, and he asked me about my basil. The conversation, the energy completely shifted, and then we sprinkled basil and everything and had an enjoyable meal together. And I was sitting there thinking about, it's sometimes we look for big magic, and in reality, it's the little magic again that makes the big differences. Where it was, basil was that magic that my husband and I needed in that moment. It just sort of changed it all, And I was really grateful for that. The other thing I wanted to is practicing gratitude. And that's those moments of when you're feeling down on yourself. And I know I have a couple of pages in the back of one of my journals. And what I like to do is I open it up and I write down 3 things that I'm happy for right now in this moment. And then I date it, And This is something that, it's not, yes, maybe you want to do it every day. Come home, write down 3 things that you're grateful for that day. I found for me, it's about every 2-3 weeks is when I want to sit down and write down a couple of things I'm grateful for that moment where I'm at in that time. And being mindful of and making sure that I was practicing gratitude. There's some magic that happens when you write it down and bring that gratitude in the physical plane. And again, these are things that sound so simple, but believe me, they really changed my outlook, my energy, my husband's energy, but they changed. All of these little practices really helped bring me back around and to start feeling that sense of connection again. And I plan on continuing them. It's not like stop when you're feeling good. It's like now that they're part of my life, my daily routine, like I said at the very beginning of the video, my big takeaway from this whole thing was, why wasn't I doing this all along? All right? I really wish I'd been doing this, a while ago. All right? Because it really has helped me be more intuitive, more connected to divinity, more connected to spirit realm folk, more connected to my ancestor. I just feel better. And I'm not out there trying to do big things, big rituals and stuff. This is small things that are making a big difference. The other thing, of course, I'm going to say is create little altars. That is something that I've been doing, and I love creating little altars. It's always been a little thing I've done as well. I never stopped doing that. That's always been part of my self-care routine is I just make little altars everywhere. If you start paying attention and walking around my property, you'll see little things made different places and stuff. The majority of them are very temporary in the moment. I do have some altars out, I think about 3 or 4 that I actually do feed, I maintain, I keep up with them. I have some, my big altar, I call it the big altar. It's the working altar, where I have anything I'm working on. And then, I have an ancestral honoring space. And then I have a space outside for the spirits of nature, Mother Nature, Gaia, the divine feminine, who knows? Just depends on the energies that are over at that altar. And then over in the back over there, I've got an altar for, the dark things and things that go bump in the night and the lesser deities. And I have an altar I keep to them as well. And keeping these small routines, they added up to something really big that really helped me these past couple of months. And I'm so grateful for it. And I just wanted to share them with you all. As I said earlier, you can go to houseofwitchcraft.com where the entire article's written down that has a little more, detail fluffies and things in it and all. I did write down one thing that I do want to say out loud. All right. And this was something that I wrote in my own book with that moment of feeling like an outsider looking in, was to always remind myself that I am cherished, I am valuable, and I am inherently beautiful. And I would love to share those words, to use those. You are cherished. You are valuable. You are inherently beautiful. Now go write that down in your journal. That's what I'm saying, which is right there. All right? But to take that in and to hold it and to know it to be a truth. All right, here's my notes on magical self-care and things that worked for me personally. All right, which is, there's a lot of different things out there. Go, craft your own routine of magical goodness, of self-care for yourself. And remember, it only needs to take just a couple of minutes a day, all right? And so with that said, get out there, fly those brooms, have a bright, blessed day. And as always, amen, blessed be, ashe, and epobo.